Good evening everybody, and a very warm welcome to Behringer. And today I have something a bit different. It's a bit of a bonus video. It's basically in response to a few comments that I've had on my Volmer delayed video, and a few people have put up a few questions and a few remarks, and I just wanted to go through some of those, and also just to give you a brief update of what I've been up to today. So just before I start, I just thought I'd show you a picture of my little cube, and this is the camera that's running around on my cam truck and getting into all the angles and nooks and crannies that some cameras just can't get into. And I just wanted to show you this because it's absolutely brilliant and I love it. And one of the things about having this little camera and it running around on my layout is the fact it shows me some of the areas which need improvement or what bugs me. And that's one of the things about having a cam truck. When you see it running around your layout, you see parts of your layout that you don't normally see, and then you kind of go, oh, I really must sort that out, or I must really work on that. So a little mini project and a little bit of an update to start is this bit here. Now this is the bit that goes into the fill yard, and so basically what I've now done is I've kind of married it all up and blended it all in as best I could. Also on the inside I've done the walls as well, so when you see it from a distance it's not going to seem like it's just a gaping hole like it was on yesterday's video. When you saw the turbo star coming down, you can see it was all open and all the rest of it. So when the lift up section comes down, it will just basically just cover all that up. And I did the same at the back, just to tidy the back up as well, which I did that. So if we just sort of come out there, you can see it's just all more tidy. So you haven't got that gaping back hole that we had here, and you can just see right through, and it just looks really untidy. So essentially the scenic bit starts literally from here. So to start on my first comment, oh sorry, that's me slamming the door up against the scenery. Barnabas Junction, if you haven't seen his vid channel, please go ahead and check it out. It's very good. He runs lots and lots of modern stuff, and I believe it's DCC actually, and it's a very good channel, so give that a watch. But he made a comment about how I bridge the gap electrically. Like as you can see, this is one corner. I've got the front door, and now I've got this bit here, which is the lift up section. If I just show you, and on this particular one, this just basically drops down onto this section. Now what I do is very simply, on bits that's connected directly to the other side, I just hardwire it in and just leaving enough wiring, so when it does drop down, you're not stretching the wiring and not putting a strain on the actual soldering joints. So that's pretty much how I do it, and I'll show you with the copper clad sleepers that I also use. On the other side, when I push this down, now here there's two tracks behind here, so this is for one track and that's for the other track. This actually here is a power, actually, because there's two power joints on this layout, and one of the power feeds is on this end and there's another power feed at the other end. Basically this power feed allows me to power platforms 4 and 5, which from the other side I can't power, so I've had to add this wiring in. So that's where you get the power in, so I can run trains to platforms 4 and 5. On the other side we have this, which is like a plug and play thing, and I can just show you what it's like. It's basically from Maplins, and you've got a male and a female side, and that just plugs into one another like so. So basically you just unscrew this, feed the wire through, and then solder those two bits, and then just plug them in. And that's basically how I do it. And I'm just going to drop it down. And this hinge here, this is a lock, and this allows that to be kept in the same position. So I'll show you that when I drop it down. So I've now dropped this down, and by sliding this lock across, that just holds it into position. And then what I do is basically plug these two bits together, and that bridges the electrical gap between the two portions. So that's just basically how I do it. And then you've got the copper clad sleepers on this side as well. But if you decide to use copper clad sleepers, make sure that you slice the middle of it to make sure that there's no short, because obviously that will conduct electricity across. But it's just to solder the end wires, the rails to the actual copper clad sleepers to provide a more permanent connection. And so it stops it from moving around basically. And like I said, this side and this side are both hardwired. And then now if I look at what the camera view was from yesterday, it looks much more realistic and much more believable than having that gaping hole which I had yesterday. So that's something else that I've, like I said to you, that I've just done. Over at the nuclear flask terminal end, this is bridged by, again, these two locking pins. So basically the lift up section will lift up into, it's actually a drop down section on this side, and it lifts up into here, and then it plugs into those two holes, and that secures it into place. And then the two locks slide across to lock it into position. And once again, the other end is hardwired, so I'll just quickly show you that. And as you can see, this is exactly the same as it was over at the other end, just two Maplin things that just plugs into one end. So I'm just going to put that back in. That's just to store it, as you can see. Originally there was 3 lines, which is why there's 3 holes, but I'm now only using 1, but I just use it just to store it, to keep it out of the way. So now it's up and it's locked into place. Now obviously from filming purposes it looks a bit unsightly, so what I do is I built this, I'm sure I've shown it before, built this little arch bridge, completely hollow underneath, so that could just slide straight over the locks. So when you look down, for filming purposes you won't see any of the locks, and they're just hidden away out of sight. And this is, like I said, the lift up section, it's now up. There's also a lock on this side, and that kind of holds it to that. Now this bit is still under testing, because I was having 1 or 2 issues with the copper clad sleeper, so I decided to try this method, and I'm just testing it at the moment, but the principle's the same. Because these two are permanently stuck together, except it's just dropped down on a hinge, they're just hardwired direct, just leaving enough slack on the wiring to ensure that when you do drop it down, it's not going to pull away at the wiring. Another thing I've done today is I've done some more work at Moorwood Station. I did that, and I've just built a new building. So that's the new building. This building's actually cost me nothing. It's made in the same way as all the other buildings and weathered in the same way as the ones that I make. It's just fairly standard. It's a piece of rectangular card, and basically I folded it into 4 pieces to make a cube, or a rectangle I should say, and then basically just folded it over, left these flaps here so this can just be closed up, but I'm going to put some lighting in it. Well, actually some lighting on the top, because even though you've got the doors and you've got the windows, they're not the same as those ones, although it kind of looks the same from here. But I didn't have any Metcalfe windows left. All I had was some the Models Railway Scenery stuff and the Sankey Scenic stuff that you get in the magazines, and I've been keeping a load of those, and this came off one of the buildings, and basically I've nicked those windows and doors to put onto this building. And then I've had some signage from the Sankey Scenics. One's like a pub on this bit, and on that corner is if you don't like alcohol you can go to the old tea rooms over on the other side. And then this is just some signage that I also had made up when I originally did that signage, the Moorwood signage. I had some extra made up. So now the plan is it's still the same plan. Basically the canopy won't actually cover all of this. It's only going to cover the platform area. Like from that, if you sort of imagine at the edge of the platform, it will cover all of that, and across there like that, pretty much like what that's doing. And again, I've got the card to do it. The canopy's not going to cost me anything to make either, because I've got the card, and also the edging. That's all going to be stuff that I've recycled from the China Clay Works roof. All of that is exactly the same as this. So basically I'll be using those recycled materials to recreate that, repaint it, and it'll be job done. So all of this has literally cost me nothing to make that little building there. It's just cost me some time today to put it together, and it wasn't a huge task. And like I said, once the canopy goes over that, you won't even see that gap in the corner, because you won't be hidden. It'll be hidden from view, and it'd be really nice, because I actually quite like the idea of having the train coming along here and coming along, and you can sort of see underneath the canopy, which I quite like. So again, now that looks so much better than yesterday's video, because now you're not seeing the light switches, you've just seen another building, which I think looks really, really great. So I'm really pleased with that. So now it's just the canopy to add. So anyway, going back to Barnwest Junction, I hope that this sort of covers how I cover the joints and electrically connect them all together. If you have any further questions, please do ask, and I'll be happy to get back to you and give you some more advice. So moving slightly on from Moorwood Station, we have the rock face, which I've done with the folly on top, and I'm just responding to Jerry Allen, who asked me how I made the rock faces. And basically there is some videos and tutorials that I have done that are out there on my channel. So if you sort of search it, you will find it on my channel, that I have actually did cover how to make rock faces on my channel. So please refer to those videos, but just briefly, I won't go into too much detail over it. These are all Woodland Scenics rock moulds, and I had two. One was a fairly big chunky piece, and there was another mould which was smaller pieces, and basically using their hydrocal, and I found using the hydrocolor, it was a bit hit and miss for me, to be honest with you. I didn't always get the right mixture and the right consistency, so it was a bit trial and error in order to get the consistency right. So I did find that a bit tricky to do, but basically by using the rock faces, rock moulds, it's created a very effective effect. And also by filling in the gaps with polyfiller, that has also blended it all in nicely. And I just use a number of different washes also to get this. And again, by using yesterday's little video on the cam truck, the little cube, really, I've never seen it from that angle before, and I was really quite impressed myself just to see some of the textures and the colours that I got off of it, and I was like really impressed and pleased with it all. So yeah, so that, I hope that answers your question too. So I just wanted to bring to you the attention of the new additions, and this one you've seen already running around yesterday, so I'll briefly go through this one. This is a 3-car cross-country unit, and this arrived on my layout a few days ago, probably about a week now. And it's a Bachmann 3-car turbo star unit. One of my subscribers had asked me a while back when whether or not I was going to get a turbo star, and I've always wanted a cross-country turbo star on my layout. However, they've always been quite tricky to find, and I managed to find this one on eBay. And like I said, considering how much the price is going to be for a 2-car unit, this 3-car unit is a real steal. And everything works, so I'm really pleased with it, considering like I said, I think it's going to be near enough £200, I think, or £160 for a 2-car unit when Bachmann do eventually release it, and I just think that's too expensive for what it is. Another one that I wanted to show you, which I've sort of touched on but not really, is this Lima Class 31. I never really gave it a proper intro or a new arrival, so I'm going to do it now. I've had it for about a month now. It came, actually there was a subscriber that I subscribed to, and he had one of these running on their layout. And this one's a bit of a project actually, because I don't actually think that the Lima 31 is too bad. It is a Lima, it is an old, but it still looks pretty good for considering its age. And I picked this up at a very, very reasonable price, as you can imagine, it being a Lima 31, considering how much Hornby ones are. Yeah, I got a good deal out of that, and I'm very pleased with it. But I'm going to use it as a bit of a project really, because I'm going to redo the bogies to get rid of these horrible couplings on it, and I might put in some custom lighting in it and see how that goes, but we'll see. Another new arrival to my layout. I was very fortunate that I had a bit of a small windfall recently, and because of it I decided to buy a few bits for my layout that ordinarily I wouldn't really be able to afford, and that I've always wanted on my layout. And this is one of those that falls into that category. And this is a Class 66, as you can see by the box, and it's Harry Beck in the tube map livery, and it's a limited edition to the London Transport Museum, and you can't actually really get hold of them anymore. They're very hard to find. I actually managed to pick up this brand new one off of eBay, even though it's limited edition to the London Transport Museum. I've had it running, and it's been running, and it's absolutely amazing. I love it. I've always wanted a shed on my layout. This is my very first shed on the layout, and even though it's still in its box, it has run and I've done a brief tour of Beringer already. Now I'm going to move across now, and like I said, one of the things I've always wanted on my layout was a HST, and I have two. Now some might say it's been a bit greedy, but I couldn't afford to buy these if it wasn't for my little piece of good fortune. And this particular one, the blue grey one I've always wanted, purely because when I was a kid, basically my mum and dad bought me a train set, and it was the Intercity 125, and it had the power car, the dummy car, and the coach, and it had one of those oval track circuits and one of those clunky controllers that just went clunk, 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 and it's just like 1, 2, 3 speed one way, 1, 2, 3 speed the other way. So I've always wanted a HST set, and Rails of Sheffield were doing this unbelievable price on these things. So even though the original retail price I think was about 250 or something like that, I think it was, I didn't get this anywhere near that price, because Rails of Sheffield had their sale on, and basically I was so fortunate to get this. And I've always wanted to get one of these, and I wanted to get it last year when it was the 40th year, but hey ho, I've got one now and I'm really, really pleased with it. The exec livery one is also one that I was oohing and ahhing over, but the thing being with this one is that I couldn't find one anywhere. But the only place I knew where they had it was in the local motor shop in Basingstoke, and it was one of those, well, I've got that one, do I really want or need this one? But the thing is, I've always loved this livery also, and I always grew up, when I was growing up, it was always a blue grey followed by this livery, followed by the Intercity Swallow, and I remember seeing them all the time at London Paddington, and I loved them. So I thought, you know what, if I don't take the opportunity to get this one now, I'm just going to lose the opportunity. And this was a brand new set, it hadn't been used, so there wasn't any marks on it, it wasn't damaged or anything like that. So I went, okay, I'm just going to make the most of it. So I ended up getting both. I now need to get coaches for them both, but then again I can always mix and match the coaches, because they both ran, well actually this one obviously ran with the blue grey, but obviously it ran with those coaches as well, the exec coaches as well, before they eventually got repainted into the Swallow. My last recruit, yes there's more, is this brand new spanking from Bachmann class 37, and this 37, I don't know if you can see, is a split head code 37. This one hasn't actually been out of its box yesterday, but I've always wanted a blue 37. I did have a blue Vitrains one, but I was never really overly happy with it, and I also liked 37s when they were split head codes, the early ones, so I decided to take the plunge and get this one. They also brought out a green one, which I'm very interested in, and there's also a another blue one, but that isn't split head code. That's just been plated over the Domino head code. So I'm going to stop babbling on now. I'm going to love you and leave you, and I think that's everything covered. And thanks for watching. Please feel free to comment and subscribe. And the other great thing about, before I go, having these two specifically now, is that if I do get the other fiddle yard sorted out, it means I can run through services with the HST from one fiddle yard direct to the other fiddle yard. So that would be really good. So I'm looking forward to that. So now I've got to get some coaches for it, which are damn sight easier than getting if you're trying to find coaches for the network measurement train or for the first Great Western, which incidentally they were doing a big sale on that. But I was looking at the coaches to see how easy they were, and they were pretty difficult to get hold of, some of the coaches, especially the buffet one. But anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you, and I will speak to you soon. And more than likely I might try and get the Oxford Rail Mark III coaches for that, and just wait for that, and just get coaches for that one, and then I can just run them between the two power cars. So this time I really am going, so bye for now, and I'll speak to you soon.